Oh, hello, and welcome to Rise and Shine with Alissa. I am your hostess, the consultress, bringing you innovative, inspiring, and informational people, entrepreneurs from across the globe to keep your life moving in the forward progressive direction. We live in the age of disruption where nothing's going back to normal and everything is new and up for review. So it is my pleasure to curate some of the most amazing talent that I get to come across in my day-to-day business life to share conversations and information with all of you. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Leisa Reid, who is the speaking guru here for entrepreneurs. She's given over 600 talks and she has a speaker training academy. It's actually why I got introduced to her because I'm sharpening that saw right now for myself. But when we had our conversation a couple of days ago, she just hit me like a lightning bolt. Like, this woman is real. She's had some life experience, and she honestly doesn't give you that same old stuff, patting your butt and giving you fluff. So we got right to the point and real, really quick. So, Leisa, welcome to Rise and Shine. It is a pleasure to have you here.
Woo, woo. So excited to be here. I love the little dance party that we had behind the scenes.
Every time. Cheers. So, tell me a little bit about your passion and how that shows up in your life and work.
Well, my passion is, I will say my mission. Let's just say that,
Okay.
because it's something that I'm always been passionate about, at least in my adult career. And that is it's something about people having gifts. I know everyone has gifts. And when we're able to give our gifts to other people or to be in our gift, I think that raises the consciousness of our planet, right?
Yeah.
So whatever I do is in service of that. So it's something I just have always felt passionate about, bringing something positive into the world. And so how that works out for me professionally is literally letting other people's brilliance shine, letting other people's brilliance come out, letting it be born. I think sometimes we're like sitting on our brilliance or hiding it, or just it maybe wasn't safe to talk about it, share it, whatever. We kind of got tampered down. That's the word. And for whatever reason or reasons, and kind of gave up sometimes on our dreams, our hopes, our, fantasy of how our life was going to be. And I'm like, well, I think that it's okay to be you. It's okay to say what you really feel, say what you believe,
I
share
mean,
something. Yeah.
yeah, like, say it out loud. Like, there's so much power in allowing people to shine bright. Like, lift up your mug.
Oh yeah, it says shine bright.
Yeah. I mean, and we're both in this, like, I think I've got a glare going on in my mug,
I
but
know
yeah,
you hit me,
shine
it says shine
bright.
bright.
Like, this is part of the mission here. Like, you've all heard me say, entrepreneurship saves the world. I believe that because we are all here with our unique gifts and our unique experience, that there's a bunch of people who were meant to help lead themselves through to their own brilliance,
Yeah.
which is kind of an inversion of what we have been kind of trained to believe by our current culture, is that leadership's up top and subservience is on the bottom. But a lot of businesses nowadays are leading from the side, helping
Mhm.
people to maximize themselves without this push pull of I know more than you must be stupid, or at least those limiting beliefs that we
Yeah.
have somewhere from our trash in our history, maybe should be in our deleted files, right? But these things die hard. And so even for myself, going on this journey of wanting to speak more and be more visible, there's a lot of I will call it uncertainty and scariness about
Mhm.
being seen more, because there's the opportunity for people to judge you. Yes and no. There's also an opportunity for you to have more impact, but that's always usually behind this veil of uncertainty or lack of clarity. So I want to ask you more like, where did this desire come from to want to help people shine? Do you have a story or a time and place in your life where you got this aha moment about serving people in this way?
I don't think it was conscious until, maybe adulthood, but when I look back on my childhood, certainly, it comes to me in the form of being a teacher. I
Mm.
do remember as a kid, like, for example, my dad would say he dropped me off to daycare, and I was growing up in Alaska, right? So that's where I'm from, and he was from California. So he thought, oh gosh, I really want her to learn how to speak Spanish. So he intentionally found a daycare for me that they spoke Spanish at the home daycare. And when he picked me up after the first day, he saw that I was teaching the kids English instead of learning how to speak Spanish. And I'm like 3 I don't remember this. I'm like 3 years old or whatever. And so, there was something even before I was cognitively aware that I'm comfortable leading others in that way, in a teaching, perspective. I will say a lot of times people assume that speakers are extroverts or they want attention or, they want to be the center of attention spotlight. I don't find that appealing, but I do find it appealing to deliver information that is going to help other people. Like, so if, as long as I'm in front of the audience that can benefit from my information, um, and I'm prepared, of course, because I would be, that rings my bell. I don't want to just be in front of, in a spotlight for no reason. But as long as there's some kind of transaction in of information, of energy, of value, to me, that is very appealing. And then I think that's also appealing for the audience members, and it's appealing for other speakers that I work with. Like, yeah, that's amazing that you're actually able to influence and inspire and use your powers for good, right?
Yeah. And I love what you're saying about assuming that most speakers are extroverts. Growing up, I grew up in like an adaptive extrovert capacity because I was in a whole family full of A types. So, like, to be seen and heard, like, you had better get your A game on for sure. And I realized that that came from covering up a place of like hurt for me, that like I needed more time to myself, but I almost felt shame for wanting to be alone. So it was almost like I was lonely. But fast forward to being a presenter, I love connecting with people and inspiring and uplifting. And that to me comes forward from my days of, dancing tap and jazz. I used to get up on those stages twice a year. And once, I think the mid-year review was like not really costumey, but like all the sparkles for the end of year.
Love.
And I remembered people that I didn't even know after those tap routines, because tap's always fun, let's face it. And they would come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, we couldn't stop watching you. Your smile was just amazing. I felt so much better watching you." And so for me, bringing that presence to a stage, like that fun is the core, and that I want people to leave not just with information but with a sense of like empowerment, with the sense of like
Yeah.
I can do this. So when you're talking about training people to be able to shine their light the best, what are some outcomes that people really want to use speaking to get?
Well, I think at least the people I work with are entrepreneurs who want to use public speaking to, as a marketing tool, as a client attraction tool, as a way to generate profits. And so it's something that they are called to do, I will say. It's kind of like I say, I don't twist arms. Like, I'm not going to convince you to be a speaker if you hate it. Like, that's not really going to work. There's lots of marketing strategies you can use, but there are definitely people in the world like yourself, like me, who are like, no, I got to do that. Like, I'm compelled. I may not know how to do it yet, but I want to do it. And I know I might be a little scared, but like I could be better than that person up there, or I should be up there. Like, you have this like secret voice inside your head. Those are the calls I get. Those are because they know that they would rock it. Um, Eventually, they might not rock it the first time, but they know that they have a gift there, and it's definitely a deep calling, I would say.
Yeah, awesome. So, as far as like how your desire to shine bright and kind of pay that forward, I really want to kind of understand that alignment for you. Like you're showing up as a beacon and as like a representation of what's possible for people. I mean, like that's kind of all service-based providers, you would assume, embody the thing that you are then teaching, know the road that you are helping people to then traverse.
Yeah.
So when you are in that space of leadership and bringing people through these uncomfortable situations, because there's this bigger thing at the other side for me that
Yeah.
was like all my personal development came in the grand pursuit of business. So what are some of the tactics and the tools that most people should be aware of? Because like you've already said, it's going to be uncomfortable because you have a big goal and no growth happens from staying in your comfort zone, right? But how do you masterfully like show like, hey, this is no big deal. I've already done 600 talks. Let me show you.
Yeah, I think there's something about having someone by your side, having someone who really gets to know you, gets to know your business, gets to know like what you're trying to do, and then also what is stopping you from. And why is that happening? And let's work through that together. It's kind of like why we have friends, why we have support in our life. And sometimes I think we think a coach is just supposed to tell us what to do and like show us the way, but there is actually something very powerful in linking arms with someone and saying like it's okay. I get you. I let's work on it together. We're going to figure it out and we're going to make it work for you, not just like cookie cutter it, you know? And I think that's missing in the space, I guess. So for me, like when I create a talk with someone, I think we are talking about this the earlier, but offline, I'm literally like helping them birth their brilliance. Like it's like, oh, let's deliver this baby that you're going to totally fall in love with because it's your baby, and you may have been a coach and learned some things and you got some certifications and whatnot, but there's a point where you're like your history and your experience and who you are as a person and your personality and all the things make something unique. It's not just about what you learned in coaching school or what you learned in your craft or whatever. It's something, a perspective that's you, that's your fingerprint, right? And no one else can copy that. It's like your print. And that is hard to see sometimes for ourselves. And it's like a little scary to share. I had one client who he's, a corporate executive and turned executive coach, and he had a really brilliant idea, but he was like, "Can I say that? That's what I really feel, but is that okay to say that? Would people accept me? Would I get like excommunicated?" And it wasn't anything. It's funny how much weight he had on what people would think, because it to me it was like, that's brilliant. It wasn't anything offensive or anything like that. And so when he confessed that to me, like, here's what I really think, I'm like, well, that's the most interesting things we've been talking about this whole time. So let's how can we work that into your message? And he was like, ah, this is so good, I finally get to say what I really feel. But he needed a little permission.
Yeah, and I always find too with entrepreneurs that there's so much that we become in the process of being an entrepreneur, but oftentimes like our mindset is like lagging behind. It almost has to like catch up in a
Yeah,
way. And so, for when I'm dealing with that like kind of similar paradigm is that we're very comfortable talking about the what we do and the how we do it and but when it comes to who we're becoming in the process and then casting the vision, like who do we want to continue to become? Like we're not a finished product yet. That's where like it's a blue ocean, but also it has no guardrails. It has
yeah,
no sketch thing to color in. Like you have to create all of that. And that can be really overwhelming. So oftentimes, like, and I've been there too, where you just find yourself continuing to do the same old thing that you've always done because it's comfortable and you've done it and it's gotten some results. But in order, what did I say yesterday? I think it was like, what got you here will keep you here. And
yeah,
it's like, oh, that's right. So if I'm here now because of what I've already learned, obviously that moving forward into where I'm growing to, it requires new skills, it requires new awareness. And oftentimes it's can be daunting, but it also can be freeing to like look at the stuff that's not working, because I'm the eternal optimist. So it took me a lot of skill building to look at what wasn't working because I had this deep seated rationale that what wasn't working was because of me. And if it's not working and I admit that it's not working, then that means that I'm a failure. Like I had this really deep anchor into who I was if I acknowledge that stuff. But in business, man, it is the most freeing thing in the world to look at what doesn't work because then you can let it go. You
yeah,
can sunset those projects. You can build a new future that, unwinds or winds up, however they say it in like the corporate world, that like finishes out that stuff so that you can be free to move on in more of like who you are and who you're becoming. So, you know, full and fair disclosure, like I'm becoming more of a speaker these days, and I'm traversing that very path going like, okay, so where does speaking fit in terms of my business development? I've got networking and I have one-on-ones and I have events that I go to. So, how do you see people leveraging speaking in their businesses? And then, what tips will you give to someone looking to like traverse this journey with someone linking arms with them?
Okay. So what was the first question?
All the questions.
Sorry, hold
So,
on. How do I see speaking working for someone in business? Okay. So for example, like when you said, "Oh, I'm doing all this networking one-on-one meetings," I'm like, wouldn't it be more fun if you were the speaker at the networking event that you were going to? So you're networking and also getting spotlighted and giving value to the audience and attracting the people who are like, "I love what she's doing." So to me, that's like an instant, like, duh, right?
right. Totally.
If you're going to be there, you might as well be the speaker. So I never have a lack of networking. I never have a lack of contacts, connections. Like there's constantly, and I'm talking over 10 years now. This isn't just like a pie in the sky. This literally is my life. Constant trickle of um, strategic partners, speaking opportunities, podcast guesting opportunities, client schedule, what do you call it? Like discovery sessions on my calendar. All those things are always occurring because I use speaking. I'm always in front of new people. I'm always meeting new people. And this is the same for my clients. So it's like now I speak a lot more than most of my clients because I'm super comfortable with it. It's like super easy for me. But that's not the strategy that works for every single person. So I don't want people to think, oh, well, so I have to speak all the time. No, not at all. But what we do want to do is figure out what's the message, who's the so here's where we come into the tips. Like the second part of the question, like, well, what tips do you have? You got to figure out what your message is. And what you were saying earlier, Alyssa, like there's this big blue ocean. Exactly. And when we have too many choices, we make no choice, right? So we have to at one point go, let's put the stake in the ground. This is what I'm standing for. Like this is going to be my signature talk until I don't want to do it anymore, until a new one comes to me. Like I just get over it and pick something. Like, like pick something. You can't tell an audience every single thing you know. They don't have time for all of your content, right? But you need to go, this is the highlight stuff I really want to, bring forth. So we decide that, and we also then are figuring out, okay, and who would benefit from hearing that? Where are your ideal clients sitting? What are they going to? And then how do we get booked for those? How do we do that without sounding like a stalker and a creepy person? We don't want that either. So all those things together start to occur. And then all of a sudden you're getting booked and you're like, that wasn't so hard. Okay, that was cool. Oh, I tried that kind of event. I tried that kind of event. All right, here's what I like. And you find your center. And I think sometimes people just want like the answer to everything on the first try. And I'm like, well, like, I don't know if you're going to like this thing. You don't know if you're going to like this thing. We've got to go give it a shot. And then you start to figure out, oh, okay, I really like this. One of my clients just told me the other day, she's like, oh, I went to she spoke at a conference and she's like, I love it because of this, and this. I want more of those. I go, great, let's isolate. What did you like about it? And let's try to find ones that are similar. Done. But she wouldn't have known that if she hadn't tried a bunch of different things.
Yeah. And I totally understand I have so much to give. I'm gonna give it all. And everybody walks away like, you were
That
cool.
was a lot.
Put up with the
I
thing
call
more.
that, you'll appreciate this. I call that Thanksgiving dinnering your audience. Where they are so stuffed, they're passed out on the couch. They're like, I can't.
Yeah. So pulling out a sampler platter, way better than serving them
Yes.
17 courses. Yes.
Yes. Being known
So
for
good.
having the best appetizer.
Yeah, and my husband cooks a lot, and one of the things that he says is like, you always want to leave people just satiated but not full, and you
Yeah.
always want to have less food, like you don't want to have any leftovers. You want to leave people wanting more. And I always want to leave people wanting more. So where can people go to find you and those wonderful tips that you have to share if they
Uh,
are so inclined?
yeah, if you are thinking, "Oh my gosh, she is talking to me. How did she know? How did she get into my mind?" You can go to getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips. And that will lead you to 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs because you probably want to get started telling people all about you and get out on those stages. So that's getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips.
Wonderful. I am so thankful you were here to share your brilliance, your
My
wisdom. I
brisdom,
tried to make
my
one word. You heard that? Wisdom.
I think I
Anyway,
have. I like it. I like that. I'll take it.
yeah, so I really appreciate you because it is true. We want more of the world to speak up. We want more of these value creating, entrepreneurial, value driven people to share their message. And like, as we rise and shine, so too do we give permission for those around us and those we're committed to impacting, the permission to also do the same for themselves and their communities. Like, it's a ripple effect, ladies and gentlemen. Man, my letters are not agreeing in my mouth today. So, anyway, with that, high five. Thanks a million for being here. And let us know what you've loved in this conversation in the comments below. Like and subscribe so you don't miss another episode. We broadcast every single Monday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So don't miss another episode. We'll see you next time, friends. Same bat time, same bat channel. And thanks a million, Lisa. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.